It is Friday, rawmicrichards.com, broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto. Well, it is Friday, which means it's Pick-a-Palooza. Yeah, all your picks. Now, Dave Bassel's not here, but we have a surprise foreplay guest. That didn't sound very good. Sounds like something Kevin Spacey would make up. Also, Stephen Rapp from Sports Interaction. By the way, I hope you've taken advantage of what Sports Interaction is offering all of the Richards Army. So you go to that site, in the pull-down menu, when you go to join Sports Interaction, you put Raw Mike Richards. Up to $200, they're going to add onto whatever you put down. You put down $200, you're getting $200. I don't know how it could be any easier. I don't know what they could do to make it better either, aside from just saying, here's a couple $100, because literally, that's what they're saying. Here's a couple $100. Then you listen to all the awesome advice. So once again, Stephen Rapp from Inside the Line, something he and Davey do across the country. Here in Toronto, it's on the Fan 590 on Sunday. Dave, by the way, will be back on Monday. He's looking after his little one of the little ones, and he'll be back Monday. But once again, a special guest, a former professional football player, will actually get the Dave Bastel foreplay. Once again, under the category, things that Kevin Spacey would say. Also, of course, it is Grey Cup. Oh, I'll smash this thing. You have no idea. I was a little agitated before, as Russell might tell you, before we went on the air. It's just sometimes laptops. I know they're supposed to be convenient. It's after we had the huge honking computers that we dealt with, the giant monitors. This was like an upgrade, right? So you can take it around, fun, flexible, great for the whole family. And I hate them. I mean, we got to use them, but I swear to God. When you know computers, when they chug on you and you get little circles, sometimes it's a little ball that goes around. Wish I was playing in the Grey Cup. Grey Cup's going to be a good one, I hope. But boy, if you're the Calgary Stampeders, you know what it's like to have been burned when you're favored. And that kind of is their history to a degree, I would say. If you talk to a Stamps fan, and we're going to see some clips. But even during the 90s, those Wally Buono teams, just how many times should they have won? They should have won more than they actually did. And it was always in the snow and always something weird. So we're going to take a look at one of those moments. In particular, very painful for Stamps fans, and that Danny McManus, Darren Flutie last drive. That was one of the craziest drives and craziest games I've ever seen, even though Doug probably was happy for Darren. That was soul-crushing. That was absolutely soul-crushing. So we'll look at some of that, including also an old Alouettes. Were they Alouettes or were they Concord? No, they were still the Alouettes at that point. Against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Rocky DiPietro, one of my favorites. So we'll Ken Hobart, remember that name? I think he was from Idaho. I want to say he was an Idaho guy. So we'll take a look at that. But yesterday, in the National Football League, let's do the music. Yes. The Detroit Lions. Generally a team that will smash your heart and shove it up your asshole. Well, they did it again yesterday against the Purple People Eaters from Minnesota. Actually, the Purple team's pretty good. And for those that thought that Case Keenum would probably fall by the wayside, I think you got to admit now, he's played himself into whatever that next contract or maybe even team is going to be. Teddy Bridgewater's on the sidelines. Case Keenum yesterday, 21-30 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was in control yesterday. If you want to talk about a late rally, if you want to put it that way, but for the most part, that game was Minnesota's from the beginning to win, and they did. They easily, to me, are the best in the NFC North, and it will be interesting to see how far they go. Do you think the Minnesota Vikings, we talk about regardless of who your favorite team is, can you cheer for Minnesota? Minnesota seems to be one of those teams, I think if they started to go deep, that it wouldn't bother people. You start talking about, the Patriots, you understand why people get a little mad. Some people will never like certain teams. Not that Miami, but if you of a certain age group, you'll never like Miami again. What about Pittsburgh? Are you happy if Pittsburgh goes deep? I don't think so. Like, there's a lot of people that got an edge, and if you're an NFC guy, so you're a Cowboys fan, you want to see anyone doing well. Here's your pain. Well, we'll get to that yesterday. Can a team really in this day and age in the NFL be that one-dimensional? Apparently they can be. Your running back's gone, so you're finished? I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of coaching availabilities coming up. So once again, the Vikings win and cover, which is the most important thing, 30-23. We mentioned the Chargers and the Cowboys. I got to tell you, if you're a Cowboys fan, what did you make of that? At some point, I got less interested. The best game was the first game. And even by looking at it, that's the way I kind of was going to go down the line, and it certainly was exactly that. The Chargers win 28-6, but you got to figure Dallas got a lot of things going on, including with their owner. Mixing it up with Roger Goodell. Now they want to look at Goodell's, what he wants in that next contract. This is a mess. I got to tell you right now, the NFL not looking as great as you would like it, certainly if you're an NFL fan. Did you see what Goodell wants in his contract? It's like stuff that I would say. And I'm insane and greedy and shallow, and I have no morals or ethics whatsoever. These are the things that I would say. The kinds of things that, let's say, Penguin would ask for in Gotham. Goodell's asking for the same stuff. Lifetime life insurance? He wants, like, how many millions? 60, 90? Like, again, things that I dream about, like having slaves or a boat made out of human skin. This is where I live. But if you're Roger Goodell, you got to have someone saying, don't ask for the boat with the skin. Don't do it. It's too much. You've gone over the line. All right. But seriously, you don't think they're going to be walking? And this next CBA, they're gone. They're so gone. Speaking of being so gone, can anyone really stomach watching any Giants games anymore? Not that I thought necessarily it was going to be a game that would be engaging, but it wasn't. Redskins win 20-10. That Giants thing's just got to be torn up. Why is McAdoo slicking his hair? Did someone say, you know what? You should look at some pictures of Pat Riley. It really worked for him. Yeah, but Pat's team's won. And for Eli Manning, I just got to, like, I'm sure there's some football left in him, and there may be a place, a more veteran team that might be one away from an Eli Manning, but where's he going to go? Because there's no way he's doing anything with this team. Or if you're the Mara family, you just figure that, okay, well, we're just keeping him. He's our guy till we run out of steam. Well, they're out of steam. It's kind of sad to watch. But I've always said this about Eli. Is there anyone who looks less inspiring? He looks like that 10-year-old who kids take his ball every recess. They mess up his hair a little bit. He comes a little late to school. He's got the wrong socks on. He thought he was going to get an A on a test. He got a B, and it looks like he's going to go home because he's afraid his dad is going to spank him. That's what he looks like. I don't know. I mean, I want the stud quarterback. I need guys, I need the Brett Favres of the world. Even Peyton with that giant head, but at least he knew what he was doing. By the way, it will be Peyton filling in for David Bastel on the Dave Bastel Foreplay, done exclusively on this show, Raw Mike Richards, in the DKI studios by Peyton Manning. So we'll get to that. Russell, do you have, again, everything I say all of a sudden this day and age sounds bad. Do you have happy endings? Do you have your happy endings today?
I do. I have them.
Because last week you almost ran the board on one game, Columbus, and by the way, that seems to be a reasonable pick these days, taking the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I went hard on Columbus last week and got 2 for 3. Only one I missed was the spread because it was I took the alternate money line. It was -2.5, and they won 2-0.
But you had puck line, which
I
is
had.
Yeah. Or sorry, no, you had puck line. You had -1.5
or -2.5. That was my line, which I missed. But then I hit outright winner and regulation win.
We've got a better schedule today.
Yeah, much better schedule. 28 of the 31 teams are playing today.
Okay, so we've got that as well for you. And, of course, when you hear some of the picks, Victor Newman's going to be in today as well. And I'll have the gold sex or sexy picks of gold sex. It's early today, by the way. So at noon, you're kicking off a lot of college football games, there's some huge games this week, as opposed to the SEC and some of the ACC teams that somehow are allowed to just schedule these cupcake games that late in the season. It sickens me. Do I like last week, seriously, do I need to see Alabama playing Mercer? Hands up if you know where Mercer is. No, I kind of don't. Seriously? I mean, and they do this all the time. I mean, look, I get how some of them do at the beginning of the year. They're sacrificial lambs, and for those schools that make a lot of money, like Mercer said, okay, if you're going to give us, the hundreds of thousands of dollars to get completely decimated on your field, it will pay for, Bunsen burners for the nerds who take science at our university. But aside from that, I just don't think it's right where you take a look at the schedule. There's some teams, I'm sure South Florida feels that way. Maybe even Wisconsin, so far undefeated, feels that way because they haven't played, East, West, North, St. Louis State. I at some point I take a look at that strength of schedule, and granted they're going to play some big teams because the SEC, the Iron Bowl is coming up this weekend, Alabama and Auburn, but still, I think they got to get rid of that because I don't think it's good for football. I know why they brought it in when they added that extra game, that 12th game, so they threw in an extra week. They felt before conference championships, before rivalry games, maybe we'll throw that in. I think it's just got to go. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's great for the fans. It might be good for the one program that gets money, but at what cost? You're throwing in what I would call a cupcake game. I don't like it. I talked about some of the CFL, by the way. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I'm watching Sportsnet yesterday, and I saw the Stephen Brunt I Am Austin. See, that's the music. This is for Austin Matthews. Traditional. You know what? What a great job. Now, Stephen Brunt is, a longtime friend, and I also think he's one of the best, if not the best in the business. Love every time he does that stuff. I don't know. I mean, roast beef, I can't believe that you wouldn't have seen it, but it's a really great story. It's super, I would say, close up for his dad, how emotional he is. But their story as a family unit is phenomenal. For the kid who goes by Poppy, I got to tell you, it's short. It's like only a half an hour, something like that. But it gives you a real background on who this kid is, and I thought Stephen Brunt did an awesome job.
Yeah, I thought it was very well done. I watched it just a few days ago, actually. It was really well done. Just interesting to see his whole story, like playing for that Ukraine team and then moving for the development program, moving to Switzerland. It was just really well done and kind of outlined that whole journey that we knew about but didn't know the background about. And I thought it was just very well done, really interesting, and it was cool.
And the thing is, we sort of look at the journey, and it sounded crazy, but when you see it up close and what they did, nobody in their right mind would ever think that you would have a product that was going to be considered one of the great players ever. Like, I mean, again, look, it's pretty early to say that, but all indicators are that he is probably going to be that thing. I think Connor McDavid is probably the real deal. But when you look at how Connor McDavid came to our attention to the NHL, grossly different than a partially Mexican-American from Arizona who never played junior, and then instead of going to then he goes to the national program, then he goes and plays professional hockey for 1 year in Switzerland. Yeah, a lot of people saw that coming. Just like you saw Steve Nash, who's has English parents who lived in Victoria or whatever, and then he goes down to Santa Clara. He's not really obviously a huge draft pick, and then he becomes the two-time back-to-back white MVP in the NBA. Sure. I love people who say, oh, yeah, well, I knew you early on. No, you didn't. He had a better chance of playing soccer than he did basketball. He's one of my favorite stories, too. But I thought for those, if you haven't seen it, you want to watch I Am Austin, as much as we kid around about it, I'll tell you that was certainly worth it, because that was well done by Stephen Brunt. Okay, why is this thing not working? Boy, I got to tell you. Look at it frozen. Yeah, thanks a lot. Get off. Get off. You're watching Happy Pappy, rawmickrichards.com. And also, thank you so much for subscribing. lately it seems that a lot of people are doing it. So that little red banner, continue to do that. It's the easiest way to get the show. And, of course, all the promos that we put out there based on the show that we do that day, because they seem to do extremely well. People are very interested in how David Lee Roth or Robin Leach or Mike Babcock that we have on, what he has to say that day. You can all obviously just go right to that, watch the little thing. But if it becomes very easy, if you subscribe to Raw Mike Richards on YouTube, just click in that red banner. We appreciate you do. We also, those that are in Ontario, in the GTA, will listen when I join Craig and Lucky on 94.9 The Rock. I do it 3 times a week. And, of course, they also take elements from our show and play them on their show throughout the week and join them live. So we appreciate all the help that we get. Now, looking at that Grey Cup, you've got Ricky Ray, who did not win the most outstanding player. But when you think how long he's been in the league, how many Grey Cups he's been to, how many big games it is, it's remarkable that he has done that in a city that tends to like to ignore football of any kind in its own backyard. So if we're talking about us against the world, and I know that Bo Levi Mitchell said that that's what Calgary's doing. I don't think anyone's buying that one. If it's anything to do with us against the world, it's the team in double blue. Now, the Stampeders know what it's like to be this heavily favored because every year they have these mammoth regular seasons and sometimes don't come home with that trophy. Well, I got to tell you, having spent the time I did in Calgary, roughly 6.5 years, and so maybe the greatest 6.5 years I've ever had, cheering for that team at times it was very painful because when it came to the games that really counted, there are times where just in their own building, they couldn't get it done. Looking at some of the more painful moments as we get to Grey Cup, the Doug Flutie years, where that team and Wally Bono and Alan Pitts, Dave Sapunjis, they were just so good. They could have won more than they did. But I think the most intriguing and most painful moment came when his brother Darren, along with our good friend Danny McManus, a Florida State guy, in the snow, they have this one last drive to knock off the heavily favored Calgary Stampeders in conditions that were not necessarily favorable, at least that's what people thought, about Doug when he had to play in the snow. But I don't know if there was anything more painful or more dramatic than the BC Lions during that. What year are we saying this is?
1994.
This was the 94, okay, because sometimes I get confused. But this was the 94, and this is the last drive. Danny Mac, watch how it's constructed and just the conditions and the pain of what it's like to actually try to win in the Western Final.
This would be devastating. Can they hang on against McManus and the Lions? 12 seconds to play. This is second down. McManus, open receiver, Flutie. And what an amazing catch. How did he hang on?
This is just incredible, this game.
They're inside the 5 on as good a catch as you'll ever see.
12 seconds, by the way.
Catches it in between 2 defenders. That's Coleman and also Kenton Leonard. What a great touch pass.
That's Jerry Forbes, my buddy, the longtime legend in Calgary, the Calgary radio star, CJ, who was doing the stadium announcements at the time.
We made you a defensive coordinator at the start. They may only have time here for one. How about a play call for BC?
Like, what do you do? Look at that weather.
They were down.
Spread your receivers out across the field. Make that Calgary defense spread out with you and try to operate just a quick throw inside. See if you can get a good quick release. And my guess has got to be the guy, Darren Flutie. I'm going to guess that Calgary's defense will probably guess that.
So what do? Do you go to Darren Flutie?
It's the worst. Quarterback draw with Danny McManus.
At the 4-yard line.
You want Danny to run?
Yards.
Here we go.
Separating McManus.
This is something.
And the Lions from a trip to the Grey Cup doesn't get better than this. McManus, end zone, touchdown Lions! BC's going to the Grey Cup!
Devastating. Just devastating.
Break 2 years in a row at McMahon Stadium.
Yep.
And Dave Ritchie has the biggest of upsets.
Heartbreaking.
Chris, This whole place is absolutely stunned.
What a drive. And now Doug.
Well, Doug Flutie beaten again, this time by his brother.
Can you imagine?
Have to hand it to Darren Flutie.
And they follow him until he finds his brother. But that's how that ended.
McManus with a brilliant relief job for the Lions.
Unbelievable scene and unbelievably painful, even physically. How cold it was.
Celebrating his third touchdown of the game. An amazing drive for the Lions in the final minute.
Well, there it is. Once again, we talk about the agony of defeat. I don't know if anything was more painful than that. Looking at those moments, and I'm always reminded by some of the great players that actually made it to the game, and sometimes there's guys that you just don't remember. Do you remember Ken Hobart? I believe out of Idaho. He was known more for his running that year than he was anything else. Came out of like nowhere. But you still had guys like Rocky DiPietro, Rufus Crawford. I mean, those were big days for me. And again, I just love looking at some of this old stuff. Newton Minnow, by the way, is a guy who's got this collection on YouTube that I found, so I want to thank him for that. But if you want to see some old school names, get a load of this. This is the Ticats and Montreal. Now, what year are we talking here? Is this 85? This is 85. I believe this is the year that Hamilton goes to the Grey Cup against BC, a heavily favored BC Lions. But just look at the names and just the way that this thing plays out. Rufus Crawford, remember that? Great CFL memories.
Let's credit Johnny Shepard with a 1-yard advance.
Johnny Shepard.
2nd and 9, Hamilton. Hobart drills it down the middle, and it is complete to Rufus Crawford. And Rufus is all the way down to the 30-yard line of Montreal. This is a man who hasn't played in 6 weeks, but he comes on to make the first big play of the ball game, a 58-yard reception. Harry Skipper finally brings him down.
I mean, and those unis right there, by the way, those uniforms were the ones that I loved. That, to me, is the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I love those uniforms. So Johnny Shepard you had on that team. As I said, Ken Hobart, and, of course, the legend, Rocky DiPietro. This is the Eastern Final.
We're scoreless in the opening moments of the first quarter. The swing pass goes out to Jackson. And the replacement for Dave Graffey, Steve Jackson, number 74, is brought down by Aaron Hill. And
look at that. Can you imagine playing out there, roast beef? Would that be you? No, eh? Russell's saying no. These are the guys that used to roll me in mud and chant my name during recess. He's not friends with these people. But I'm hoping that we will get to, and I believe these are not cut down highlights, as the actual live game as I continue to play CFL highlights. But this is awesome. On that field, by the way, that turf, that AstroTurf, brutal.
Guelph University at the fullback spot today. Hobart's pass is caught for a first down by Rocky DiPietro.
There's the Rock. Ends up going, obviously, to the Football Hall of Fame. At one point had the reception record for the entire league. You see, those are the helmets you want. Why gotta be space age and look like it's a European league or something? I don't know why we do that. Go traditional. Just like Pittsburgh, except when they go too far back. Those Bumblebee uniforms make me sick to my stomach.
First down, Hamilton. The ball at the Montreal 18. Hobart down the middle, touchdown.
There it is. Apparently right now I'm just reliving my childhood. This is how I'm just... Look at that. So awesome. There you go. There's and I'll be honest, I've also been sharing some of these clips with our good friend Sean Salisbury, who's down in the States now, lives in Houston, obviously played in the Grey Cup out of USC Trojan is what he was. And then ended up going down to the NFL, played in Minnesota, has his current show. He's been on ESPN. Great guy. And, of course, he just loves seeing these things, too. So we appreciate that on a Grey Cup week where we've been looking at some of those clips. And right now, hopefully with the magic of Skype, we are going to get a hold of Stephen Rapp, who's standing by. Ready with material, I'm sure, as he gets prepared. from Inside the Lines.
Raps Greek, you want the spanakopita or a euro?
It's Stephen the Greek. Thanks for joining me this morning.
What's going on, Michael?
Well,
I understand you're flying solo.
Flying solo today, and this week it's funny looking at some of the CFL clips from some of the years gone by. You just sort of forget, a lot of the names. Stephen, as you know, the CFL sometimes can be really transient. So it's for the younger generation that didn't see the games because they blacked them out. The league thought it was smart to black out the games, and you have a whole generation that the CFL, quite frankly, lost because they just never saw it on television.
That is so true. I mean, I remember my last CFL game. It was a Grey Cup that was taking place in one of the coldest days I could ever remember at Exhibition Stadium.
Yeah.
And then I'm the lost generation. I'm a generation that did not watch CFL for maybe 20 years. I don't know how long it was. And it wasn't until I got involved with Bet365 back in the day. It's new, obviously, now I'm with Sports Interaction. But anyways, I digress. It wasn't until I got involved in the sponsorship end of things that I started going back and getting involved in the CFL game and realizing, I tell you, a lot of people say that game on Sunday, the Argos-Saskatchewan game, was a hell of a lot better than anything you saw on Sunday in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was. And we certainly have a lot of interesting games in a year that has been, well, it's not been the easiest of you. I mean, I think for you, I mean, you like taking a dog. You can smell those dirty, flea-ridden dogs, and there's certainly been a lot of them. But it's been really tricky because quarterback play is so inconsistent because you haven't had a lot of the starters to actually play. So, maybe case and an example, I don't know how the guy keeps his job in Buffalo, but you've got Buffalo at Kansas City. Kansas City has not played very well. We assume it would be Tyrod Taylor, I guess, but I guess you spin the wheel, you don't know because they're talking -10 for the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Yeah, and it's going to be Tyrod Taylor, and it's too much. But just quickly, before we get to that game, how about the 3 idiot coaches that lost yesterday? I mean, you talk about quarterback play. I'd like to talk about the idiot coaching play. I mean, we see some really – I mean, Caldwell was terrible in Indianapolis, terrible in Detroit. Jason Garrett, how does he keep his job?
Yeah.
I mean, they're never going to win with Jerry Jones, the billionaire, as a GM, because he's not a GM. He's a billionaire. Don't know what he does and why he keeps Garrett. And then McAdoo, I mean, it was a trifecta of crap last night as far as coaching goes. But jump to Buffalo, Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City 10 points, too much here. I know they tried to experiment last week with Nathan Peterman. The Bills did. It was horrible. I didn't really say anything, but it was horrible. But, I mean, this is a Buffalo team, the Kansas City team that's lost 3 or 4. They haven't looked good. They haven't had any offense. And if Buffalo is 4.5 with Tyrod Taylor last week, it went to 7 when it was announced Peterman. Chargers may be the best team, one of the best teams in football right now, playing one of the best. How is Kansas City 10 points in this game, Michael?
I don't know. I think it's just they are just egging you on every week to want to take that dog, but I just can't trust Buffalo on the road. They're a team that I got to think even looking inwardly to their coach. I mean, how do you think the players feel about having to go back and forth when you actually had a chance? I mean, there you were, literally poised to get a playoff position, and you pull that. So I don't even think you have confidence in your team.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think it was personally the right move. Even if they get a crawl into a wild card position, which was doubtful, they're not going anywhere. They had to know what they had in Nathan Peterman, a 5th rounder, going forward next year to see whether they use a high draft choice and all those picks they have in the first 2 rounds to package them up and go after a Rose and go after the chosen Rosen, by the way, go after a Darnold. They have to know what they're doing. And I personally thought it wasn't a bad move. I don't think they're going anywhere. I thought it was a decent coaching move. Obviously, the players were pissed off. If I was a player on that team, yes, I'd be pissed off. But you know what? I think they're going to get over it. I think McDermott's a good coach.
Carolina at the Jets, it's +5.5. Carolina's there's certain teams that seem to be falling into place a little bit. I probably would put Carolina that way. A lot of it to do with their defense, I would say. -5.5. I know it's not the greatest of numbers, but do you like the Panthers on the road?
No, you ask me if I like favorites. I have to give you the same answer pretty much every week. I'm never going to really like the favorites. Tell you what, Carolina has The New Orleans Saints on deck next week, so it's a little bit of a look ahead for them. The Jets have been decent at home. They've beaten Jacksonville at home. They played both Atlanta and New England pretty tight at home, and they've covered 7 of their last 8. The Jets are a frisky little team. This could be a look ahead for Carolina, who come off that smash-down a couple weeks ago with Cam Newton doing the things that Cam Newton does. I'm going to be on the dog here, taking 5.5 with Carolina, with the Jets as well.
Well, then you have a buffet of dogs then this week that you might be interested in, because these numbers are huge. You've got Philadelphia's now -14. Do you think that changes by kickoff, or does it stay, or does money come in to drop it down?
No, it will not clear. I mean, it's 14 in Sports Interaction. It's 13 elsewhere on the board. I don't think that. I mean, Sports Interaction will maybe stay on the 14 with a little bit of public money. The Sharps aren't going to let that go above 14. They're going to grab a double-digit dog. Chicago plays some decent defense. And what's Philadelphia can really, in their mind, take their foot off the gas just a little bit. They pretty much got that division wrapped up. No reason to see them really put their foot down. I'm not going to be on my card this weekend, but I was leaning to Chicago in the points.
So can you trust because I'm going to go through all the dogs then, because that's how we're looking at this week.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
So plus 8.5. Do you think that's reasonable in Cincinnati?
Yeah. At this point in time, you just blindly go against Cleveland, no matter what they're laying. I mean, just Sean Kaiser can't figure it out. Hugh Jackson, he's 1 in 140 as a head coach. I mean, really, what do you have to do in this league to get fired? Until somebody tells you to stop or throws you in a rubber room, you just keep laying the points against Cleveland and see what happens.
Well, that -16.5, that is a lot of points, even for a New England team that I think they're capable right now of winning the Super Bowl. I think that they're playing that kind of football. They've found themselves. But at -16.5, they're finally back home, but is the number too big?
Yeah, I'm going to stick needles in my eyes, and in my pool picks, I'm going to lay the 16.5. And I hate doing it, but Miami can't score. They're just a screwed-up organization, a screwed-up team. New England, after the first 4 weeks, and everybody was so concerned about their defense, they figured it out now. Their offense is as the New England offense always is. They'll put up points. I can't see Miami scoring 15 points a game, keeping up. So, yeah, I guess we're laying the 16.5. But we're not happy about it.
No, we're not. I think there's going to be a lot of that this weekend. Atlanta, -10. There's another delicious number.
Yeah, well, I'm all over Tampa Bay here. Atlanta coming off a short week, traveled back from the West Coast. They had that big win in Seattle. Atlanta's got a home game next week versus Minnesota, so we got a sandwich letdown spot. They've not been good on the walls. They've been favored more than 6 points 4 times this year. Atlanta has. They've yet to cover in this spot. Taking double-digit dogs have been profitable. Dogs of 9 or more have gone 8-4 against the spread. So, I mean, there's that one going for us. Fitzpatrick is serviceable. I mean, he's beaten the Jets and Dolphins, nothing to get excited about. But he's a better replacement than a lot of the quarterbacks playing this league. He gets a hungover Atlanta team, bad spot, 2-5 against the spread last 7, 5-2 again the last 17 against Tampa in Atlanta. Glad you brought it up, Michael. Can you tell? All over Tampa +10.
Well, so I'm curious about this one. +6.5 San Francisco at home, Seattle. They're probably desperate to win this game. This is literally getting closer to their season each and every game. -6.5 on the road.
Yeah, stop me if you heard this one before. Seattle, big favorite for San Francisco. Niners keep it close. More times than not win a low-scoring game. It happened already this year. Didn't it happen week 2? Seattle win 12-9. Yeah. That was at home. Seattle won by 3. Now you're looking to lay 6.5 on the road. Niner team coming off a bye. Get their first win a couple weeks ago. They're playing Seattle on a short week. Lots of reasons. And the Legion of Boom. It looks like the Legion of Doom right now without Sherman and Chancellor. This is San Francisco, an extra week to prep against a hurting Seahawks team. These teams always play close games. San Francisco always surprises. Kyle Shanahan watching his old Atlanta offense on a Monday night with a week off, watching them scheme against Seattle. He'll have lots of plays. Look at the game plan. That's another one all over San Francisco +6.5.
We're in conversation with Stephen Rapp here on rawmickrichards.com, both on the website, on the dedicated YouTube channels. We take a look at sports interaction, what we're doing this weekend. And I think actually there's a couple of games that will be very intriguing. New Orleans at Los Angeles Rams. This should be a good one. And generally over the years, I know people would say, and the public certainly, they like to go over with New Orleans. You know what the Rams score like. But there's one thing about New Orleans is it's not all about Drew Brees trying to win it by himself. He's got a running game, and this year they're actually playing defense. It's -2 Rams. The total is 53.5.
Yeah, the New Orleans likes to run the ball now and control the clock. And I actually did a hit this morning where I talked about the fact that it was 2.5 and it would be going down to 2 because we've had Sharps and Public both on the same number. And that's exactly what's happened at Sports Interaction. As you mentioned, it's now 2. So we have had some professional money as well. Listen, anytime I'm going to get a chance to take a team that's won, 8 in a row, is 19-7 against the road in its last 26 games against the spread. And I'm going to take points. I'm going to get to take that every time. Rams have been very good, but let's see how this team reacts to getting punched in the mouth last week like it did. They've got the 20th ranked run defense, and they've done that against the 26th ranked schedule of run offenses. So, I mean, this is what New Orleans likes to do now. They've changed their identity. They rush the ball. They control the clock. They play some defense. On offense, Rams have lost their most productive receiver, Robert Woods. So, again, there's Jared Goff losing something, a safety net that he's going to become accustomed to this season, and a little bit better defense taking points. I'm taking New Orleans plus the 2 here. The total, it's up there, 53.5. I'm not really enthused by high totals in New Orleans this year like I used to be. They really try to control the clock and play some defense.
Yeah, it's interesting how history sort of shifts a little bit, but history tells us, as Pittsburgh's at home at -14, that they tend, at least the reputation is, to play down to their competition, and this gets way down. You got Hundley, who's just, as I said, I don't believe it's a professional quarterback, but at -14 and Pittsburgh playing a little bit better, is the number still too big for a home game?
I just hate them. Mike, I hate them. I hate these double-digit spreads. I hate having to lay them. I don't mind taking them if I think I have a live dog. But with Hundley, I just don't know if I have a live dog. And have we proven there's a more valuable quarterback in the NFL right now than Aaron Rodgers? I know people say Tom Brady, but this guy's worth 12, 13 points to this team. They cannot run any kind of offense without him. So, I mean, it's a primetime game. We know Pittsburgh sometimes likes to show it up on the primetime games with all their talent and throw downfield. I guess since I can't see Green Bay moving forward that often, I guess I got to lay the points. What 2 horrible primetime games we got, Sunday night, Monday night. It's just a shame. I mean, Thanksgiving weekend in the U.S., everybody's looking forward to watching football. And the games other than Minnesota, Detroit were horrible yesterday, and they're horrible. That horrible Sunday night, Monday night. So
when you're looking at this weekend for you, your top 2 picks, I know you really seem to like Tampa Bay, but what are your 2 you think strongest picks going into the weekend?
I think it's Tampa Bay, and I think it's San Francisco taking the points. Seattle hasn't done anything. I mean, basically, he's got Russell Wilson running around trying to survive. I just think that San Francisco will get better every week. And I really do respect Kyle Shanahan as a coach. I think he knows what he's doing. And I respect John Lynch as a GM. And I think those 2 guys are working great together. And I think this team builds. Coming off a bye week, I think we'll see something special from them against the Seattle team that's not impressing me at all this year. Not impressing me at all.
Stephen, you'll be busy again once this weekend with Inside the Lines, of course, here as people are watching the GTA. It's on the Fan 590, but, of course, you're across the country.
You can get it online, of course, and you can also get it. We're also on Calgary Fan Sports at Fan 960. Your old stomping grounds, I understand.
Yes.
Told them I knew you. They were going to kick me off the air. Yeah, I don't know if I said they liked you there.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to be using my name, Stephen. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. It was a good job, my friend, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks for this morning.
My pleasure. Look forward to it. Enjoy the weekend there, Mike.
That is Stephen Rapp from Sports Interaction. And, of course, as we just mentioned, Inside the Lines, as you can hear both on Sunday. And, Dave, I'm pretty sure we'll be there joining Stephen this weekend and, again, across the country, including the Fan $9.60, but it's Sportsnet, the fan. Do they throw that in there? Because I know they love that. They're big for that. You're watching rawmikerichards.com on the website and, of course, on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Looking at, we get a bunch of picks coming up. So Dave's not here, so apparently Peyton Manning's going to do the foreplay. See, everything you say now these days sounds awful. Speaking of awful, like I get that Thanksgiving south of the border, it's a huge holiday. It's equal and for some bigger than Christmas. And, of course, it's really like only a month apart, which in Canada we think is weird. But this advent of the excellent shopping day where it's just a free-for-all known as Black Friday. By the way, the name, not that enticing. If you really want people to feel happy about something, when you put the word black in front of it, it just sounds like perhaps it may not be the most fun day. And really, by looking at what people go through south of the border. I mean, I know they call it Black Friday up here, but it's not the insanity you see south of the border. People just become animals. Because they get, what, a deal on a doll? A deal on air freshener? Like, what is your problem? Get a job. Do something, make more money. So this doesn't become such, I mean, it looks literally like an addict when free drugs are available. So you get adults doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I believe in this instance, here's a nice Black Friday little gem for you, a little video gem. What happens with an adult when it comes to probably a child having what? The latest Cabbage Patch or whatever weird troll doll, or I don't know what it is, but get a load of this insanity. That's charming. While this is going on, do you hear the music that was going on in the background? It was like Christmas carols. Then they slow it down so you can see the adult ripping out of the hands of a child. What is it that the kid had? You want to know. That's brutal. Congratulations. Maybe you should call it Black Friday. Brutal. Okay, so what do we want to do first? Perhaps I will start. Now, there's all kinds of, wow, look at all this stuff. Let's go to, sorry for the delay. Why don't we go to the always exciting Sexy Picks of Gold Sex.
And now it's time for Mike Richards' Sexy Picks of Gold Sex.
I love gold.
Brought to you by Sports Interaction, Canada's online sports book.
Oh, yeah. No, leave that picture up there. Leave it up there. Leave it. Okay. Barbie Benton, how good was that? Okay. College football. And a lot of it starts early today, but I'm on it. See, college football at noon? On a Friday? Trust me, this show's going to end early. TCU at home to Baylor. TCU is a good team. In fact, as the two lost teams go, how come they're not considered to be part of what happens in the playoffs? Well, I think they take care of business. I've got them at minus 23.5. Baylor's won one game this year, and I think the Horned Frogs are an awfully good team. Minus 23.5, I'm going to take that huge number because that's how college football works. Miami, Florida, I believe the number, I got it at minus 12. You can even get it lower than that. They're thinking this is, again, where they're going to look past for the final week, but Miami is so much better than Pittsburgh. I don't care what they did against Duke. Duke isn't that great. And the game they played against Virginia Tech they played a really bad game. It's a little smoke and mirrors. Pitt is not a competitive team. Miami is a great team, and they need to run that board. So at minus 12, even on the road, under 2 touchdowns, I'm taking the U. Iowa at Nebraska, unfortunately for our good friend Mike Riley, who is one of my favorite people. And as far as coaches go, always loved how he's run his programs, including playing or coaching here in Canada and Winnipeg. But it's been a real bad year. I'm almost 100% sure that Mike probably isn't returning as the head coach. That job will be open. So Iowa coming in at minus 3.5, under 4 points. I see no reason why they don't cover it. You saw what Iowa did to Ohio State. Minus 3.5, take Iowa. Georgia, minus 11 at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's not any good. They had a decent start after 3 weeks, but Georgia still is a legit big-time team. The triple option is not going to freak out the Bulldogs. -11 on the road. I know it seems like a skank number, but I'm still going to take it. And finally, Ohio State, -11.5. I'm just taking Michigan. Michigan doesn't have a quarterback. I don't know what Michigan can do to stay in this game, quite frankly. So as much as they can play some defense, and maybe that keeps in it for a while, at some point, Ohio State, in a true one of the hated rivalry games, I'm gonna take my -11.5. And I see no reason. Oh, are we going to put that picture back up there? Sure. Just sneak it in. Sneak it in. Can you do that? Yeah. See that? Ooh, YouTube. What happened? What happened there? So that's your sexy picks of Gold Sec. So I guess, does Peyton come in now? Is that what we're going to do? Okay. Well, Dave Bastel at home, being the good father and looking after a sick little one. So I guess we have to go to Sexy Picks of Gold Sex, the Dave Bastel foreplay. And stepping in, the legendary Peyton Manning.
It's Friday, and you know what that means. A little full play with Dave Bastel. He gonna give you some full play you won't forget. Brought to you by Sports Interaction Canada's online sports book. Give it something to me, Big Sexy.
Well, I appreciate it. I don't know if Barry meant me, but let's throw it to the stand-in, and let's go to the legendary Peyton Manning. Peyton, what do you got?
Thanks for inviting me in. It's about time to get someone good. Not that I don't like Dave, but he's obviously not Peyton Manning because no one is. I heard that Stephen Rapp, what he was talking about. Have another drink, buddy. Did you play a lot of football? I'm thinking not. Not when you have a size 45 waist. All right, let's get to it. Carolina -5.5 against the Jets. The Jets are done. They played good from time to time, but -5.5 without Panther defense, even on the road, I got no problem with that. Take the Panthers. I also heard Mike talking about -11.5. I agree. Michigan doesn't have that much, and certainly a quarterback, they got some problems. And so I would go that way. And by the way, Seattle, -6.5 against San Francisco. Who's playing quarterback this week for San Francisco? A dog, because I got to be. I'd put any kind of animal. I'd put a squirrel back there. You have a better chance. Garoppolo's not going to play, but how good's he anyway? Under a touchdown, I still like Seattle. I'm certainly going to take them. And then Oakland, you're playing Denver. Now I know all about Denver. Yeah, kind of won a Super Bowl there in one. I think I was the MVP. If I wasn't, I'm pretty sure I was. Obviously, one of the best quarterbacks who've played of all time. Eli better join the circus as a freak because he's terrible. I'm taking Oakland at home -4.5. I don't have a problem with that. It's 12 times your money if you take what I just said. And why wouldn't you? I'm Peyton Manning. This has been sexy. What are you calling this now? Little kid in the corner. What are you calling this?
The foreplay.
Yeah, like you know about that. Okay, let's go back to Mike. Mike?
Oh, okay. Well, thanks, Peyton. It was a little different than what Dave does, but and I think it's interesting that he completely disregarded everything Stephen Rapp said. From Sports Center, he did. I think with you in the opposite way of everything Stephen said. We'll find out who's going to be right. And I think do we have now we should go to the all the music has changed here, but let's go to you've got your happy picks of what do you call them? The happy endings. The happy endings picks. Let's see if I can find. You used to have sexy music on here, so I'm just going to see if I can find that as we get ready, and then we'll have Victor Newman. So let's see if we can find this. Here I am. You know, I got to tell you right now, the just tapping away on this thing. This is what happens when you're alone. Actually, I didn't mean it that way. See, how come everything I say now is like this weird? Okay, that's not going to happen. Alrighty, what? I'm going to go to your regular music here because the other one just simply is not coming up. Let's go to happy endings on the Ruscam. This laptop, I just want to smash it with a hammer. And now it's time for Russell Graham's happy endings. Russell.
All right, so Got 28 of the 31 teams going tonight, so had a little bit of variety. San Jose at Vegas. Vegas has been good at home all season. I'm just taking Vegas as the outright winner. The money line pays a 191. Tampa Bay at Washington. Both of these pretty good scoring teams. Tampa Bay is one of the highest, but Holtby versus Vasilevsky, I'm taking the under 5.5 in tonight's game, and that pays a 210. Calgary at Dallas. Once again, taking Calgary as the outright winner. The money line,
Yep.
Goudreau and Monahan have been playing unreal recently, and that money line also pays a 210. So Vegas money line, Tampa Bay, Washington under 5.5, and Calgary money line against Dallas.
Oh, that sounds good. And last week you were pretty good, I have to admit. Now, are you ready for this? Because let me just sorry, as I adjust, I believe Victor Newman is coming in here. Look at this thing. Oh boy, this is a barrel of laughs. Okay, so as the limousine pulls up, is the camera on me? Oh, that's awesome. I got to tell you, I'm just digging that. So yeah, we go back to you now, and
It's pulling up. I think I see Victor walking in.
this is this is like a theater of the mind that you like you can't believe, and let's just see if indeed it is him, and
He just making his way in studio now. Victor, welcome on this Friday, this nice Black Friday. You got some picks for us today?
Just what the hell is going on here? I expect to see David Bastel, a man who at least shaves, for God's sakes. And I've got little Punky Brewster asking me questions, but I'm going to tell you something. It does not matter because you do a hell of a job, all right?
Thank you.
I believe your mom works at the ACC, does she not?
Yes, she does.
You tell your mother I said hi, all right? She'll know what the hell's going on.
I'll do that.
Let's start with the Grey Cup because it's a damn big deal in Canada and it's one of my favorite things to do. The Calgary Stampeders, Toronto Argonauts, the best team in the league for once is going to win the damn championship. I like the Calgary Stampeders. The cover -7.5. It's not a good number. Would you listen to me? I know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm Victor Newman. You got that? -7.5, take it. Also, when it comes to soccer, as you know, Russell, I was very athletic when I was younger.
Oh, were you?
Yes, I see you looking at my thighs. Take it easy, Spacey. Toronto FC, I'm going to take the Asian handicap, which means -1.5. I believe this game will be at least 2-0. I see them scoring probably in both halves. Good luck, Columbus. You're going to need it, but you're not going to get it. Take the Reds, -1.5. It pays a 2.62. Pittsburgh, Green Bay, -13.5 for Pittsburgh. Green Bay's got nothing. I'm not taking the damn dog, all right? Stephen Rapp, I don't care what you say. And stop calling me. I'm not going to give you a loan. Take Pittsburgh at home, under a touchdown, -13.5. Same thing with Philadelphia. Why do you think Chicago is going to go in and play against the Eagles with any kind of tenacity? They don't have it, and they're not going to get it. Take Philadelphia, -13.5 at home. And those are your damn picks, all right? Victor Newman saying to all the lovely women of Canada, I'm thinking about you. Wow.
Victor Newman,
Yeah.
passionate picks.
yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Not bad.
Stephen Rapperty's kind of taken
Taking a few shots
a
today.
couple of hits today. We've got a whole bunch of stuff also coming up next week, by the way. Oh, hold on. This thing is I'm fighting the computer today, as you notice, folks, and you should know I have a little bit of an anger issue from time to time, and now I can't even get the thing to come up. Come on. Just do it once for me. Just once. Nope, that's not good. Okay, this fucking thing. Come on. Oh, yeah, now it's gone. Here we go. There we go. Come on, you. It's not coming up. It's not coming up. Why would the music that I'm going to play to end the show... Clicking things. Here's something. Hold on. Sorry, folks. This is smooth. Okay, that's the first time today. Unless, of course, you still expect the Victor Newman music still to be on, so I will... Oh, it ended very nicely. There we go. Next week coming up, we've got the... Now, this is a crazy story. This is the run a mile and chug a beer guy. And he ran the mile in, like, what? Like 4 minutes and change. So every 400 meters, he stops, he chugs, and I believe it's a full pint, and he runs a 4-minute mile.
What?
Yeah, that's.
We just become best friends. Yep.
I don't know if Caroline Pierce did that,
Go do karate in the garage.
or is an Olympic event, but it's good to us. Yes, it's an abbreviated show with a computer that I hate, but I got to be honest. I'm going home and I'm betting on some of those college football games. They kick off at noon Eastern, and I'm going to be there. I'd like to thank Stephen Rapp, who put up with us again from Sports Interaction. Make sure when you go to Sports Interaction that you pull down that menu, the pull-down menu, and click on rawmikeRichards.com. Up to $200, they will match your wager. And there's lots of winning. Hopefully you got all the picks today. And also thanks to our good friend Peyton Manning, who came in. Have yourself a great Grey Cup. If you're going to a party, make sure you get keys to us or take a cab. Just be safe. It's going to be a great one. We'll see you on Monday. Thanks a lot, guys.